Hello everyone and welcome to Spook Lane Creepy Chats, where we're covering creepy topics this month on Creepy Chats. I am Patricia.
I am Arun, one of the three haunted skeletons.
And today we're going to be doing a very special themed month for Spook Lane. 2 years ago we did Tim Burton month, and we had a really good time covering those movies. This time around we're going to be covering spooky stop motion animated films.
He'll stop you in your tracks.
Yeah, so we're going back into the world of Laika, where, if you remember, for Tim Burton month a few years ago, we talked about Corpse Bride. And this time around, we're going to be talking about their second film that they've ever produced. The first one that they definitely were most known for, and building up their reputation as a contender for one of the greatest animation companies of all time, Coraline.
Yeah, and it's funny because I didn't really gravitate towards Coraline at the very beginning. Like, I missed the official release, and it's sort of kind of like gone past me as time has gone by. And as you probably imagine, like, me and Patricia, we consume all sorts of media all the time. So when I finally got to see it this year, here in 2025, finally actually got to sit down and watch it, I'm actually really amazed at all the stuff that they managed to put into this. And whether it's the stories, whether it's the characters, whether it's the the imaginative scenes, whether it's the doing the stop motion itself. So, hey Boney, like, what was your reaction to when you first saw the animation of this movie? I just helped him in his mouth. Yeah, it's jaw dropping. It really is. It's incredible to watch, and it's amazing how much they've actually managed to not only do stop motion animation, but they've managed to put in all other aspects of animation into this as well. Like the idea that the walls and everything can move, and the idea that you got you spend some scenes looking up at the sky and just see how much of that also is makes the worlds all seem to come into one. It's it's different types of animation that's all coming together, but it all feels very much like this is all part of the same world, and that's very hard to do with different types of animation.
Absolutely, yeah. So Coraline is based off of the 2002 graphic novel written by Neil Gaiman, and this was the return of Henry Selick. And we talked about Henry Selick before during Tim Burton month for Spook Lane Creepy Chats, when we talked about Nightmare Before Christmas, and we talked about James and the Giant Peach for the Roald Dahl retrospective. So yeah, we have dipped our toe a couple of times with Henry Selick, and we will do so once again for the conclusion of Old Spook Lane Creepy Chats later on this month. But yeah, this was basically his major comeback after returning to writing, directing, and being a part of the stop motion process after the not so major success of Monkey Bone, if you've ever seen that movie. And I have, by the way. Yeah, so several years ago, I was in a collaboration with Decker Shadow and that long-haired creepy guy, and we looked back on the strange what-the-hellness of Monkey Bone. And yeah, I mean, I can understand why he decided to take a break after a while. He was working on other projects, but for the most part, he didn't come back to do a major movie until Coraline. He was originally supposed to do Fantastic Mr. Fox, but he wasn't able to do it because Coraline Coraline and Fantastic Mr. Fox were being produced right around the same time.
Yeah,
in fact, they were.
So Wes Anderson jumps in, and all the rest is history after that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And in fact, both movies came out the same year, so it's like a debate on which was the better stop-motion animated film, Fantastic Mr. Fox or Coraline.
I think that's a podcast for another time, but yeah, definitely we should look at Coraline. I mean, we've already done Fantastic Mr. Fox in the Roald Dahl retrospective, so if you want our thoughts on that, I mean, go listen to that. Maybe after you've listened to Coraline, I mean, maybe you can compare the two and maybe decide for yourself. But I mean, who knows? Maybe that'd be an interesting discussion, I think, for you and I to have. Which one is the better movie, Coraline or Fantastic Mr. Fox? So yeah. But for the meantime, let's dig into Coraline and let's see what we think of this piece.
Okay, yeah. So Coraline features the character of Coraline Jones and her parents, who moved into a small little Victorian house in Ashland, Oregon, from Pontiac, Michigan. And the reason why is because her parents do a lot of blogging and posting about gardens and plants and various other things. And so they need to move closer to a place where they can be able to be around gardens and plants and various things, even though that they don't do the gardening and planting themselves. And so we have Coraline, who's just wandering around in this massive forest and just looking at all the different things that they have over there and just trying to get accustomed to being in a place where she's never been to before.
Also, she's sort of kind of overlooked as well as a character by or those supporting characters. They also kind of have their own idea of what they think Coraline is, but Coraline feels that she's not really been taken seriously, and that she is not being listened to, and she's basically a typical. It's funny. She's a typical teenager, but I mean, I think there's the more supernatural elements and also the interesting of our characters. I think adds a bit more to it, and I think it was just kind of they just did. Oh yeah, this is just the dad character. This is just the mom character. This is just the goofy sidekick. This is just where this is all these other characters, and they just basically reflecting off this teenager. I mean, Coraline, I don't think would have been anything really to look at, but I mean, to be honest, they do something far different in this, and I think it works really well.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And, also along the way, she meets up with various neighbors, one of which is a young boy named Wyborn Lovett, or YB as he's known as. And it's funny enough, this character was not in the original book. They added him into the movie. And it makes a lot of sense considering that Coraline didn't really have a lot to interact with until she goes over to the other world. And yeah, I think that the introduction of YB is a nice choice because it builds up the mystery about when she first discovers the well and also the house that they're living in. Apparently that his grandmother's sister once disappeared a long time ago, and that he shouldn't really be interacting with the house or with her. And he also gives her a voodoo doll that looks exactly like Coraline, and he says that he just found it where his alongside with his grandmother's old things, and he's just wondering on why that this particular doll that he found tucked away in his grandma's stuff from many years ago just so happens to belong to a young girl who just recently moved in.
Well, I think this makes sense to add YB in as a character because I mean this isn't like a short where oh hey, this is just a short based off a book and there needs to be only a few characters in it. We only focus on a main character for 20 minutes and then after that we're wrapping up. This you need to add in extra characters in order to continue a story because it's not just the other side that we're focused on. It's also, it's the reason why Coraline is, escaping from one side to the other. And you need to give Coraline far more reasoning, I think, for her to make that jump. I think if they only left it to, whatever was left in the book, I don't think that would really carry the movie all that well.
Yeah, in fact, Henry Selick originally thought that it was going to be enough to make a 47-minute short film, and that was going to be it. But then, as time went on...
Yeah, he thought he was making a TV special, and he thought, no, we can't do this.
Yeah, I mean, eventually they decided to expand the story and add more characters to it so that they can be able to make it into a bigger film. And I think it works for the most part. So the other characters that Coraline meets along the way that also live really close to the house are Mr. Babinski, who was a gymnast, and he has his own mouse circus. And you have the burlesque actresses, April and Miriam, and they do a lot of performances and singing, and they even do a tea leaf reading telling Coraline that she's in danger and that, something bad is going to happen. So, yeah, I mean, we have all these, like, really eccentric characters that are built into this.
Yeah, I love all the supernatural elements all added into this as well. Like, there's just this, like, it's all, mystery and voodoo and, it's just some dark arts that have all been put into this, and it really adds. And, it's funny because me and Patricia are actually having a talk about this, whether we actually were going to do this for Old Spook Lane, because you actually originally didn't really consider it all that much of a horror movie, not a horror movie or like a Halloween movie.
No.
But then when we had a bit of further discussion about it, like, there's a lot of supernatural, there's a lot of creepy, and a lot of like, dare I say, horror elements involved in all of this. Like, there's a bit where like, they wanted to get rid of Coraline's eyes and replace them with buttons.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, that's pretty horrific.
Yeah. So I thought it wasn't like Halloween-y enough when I first, was discussing about what we should cover for Old Spook Lane. But once we started watching more of the movie and once we saw some of the creepy elements that were brought into it, we thought to ourselves, yeah, let's, why not? Why don't we just cover it?
Two of our characters is basically measuring up their dogs to be when they die to turn into taxidermy, animals. So
yeah.
I think there's like there's a little bit of a creepiness currently going on to this, and speaking of our characters, I have to say it's a really awesome to see Jennifer Saunders and Dawn French also reuniting for once again. Like anyone who's familiar with French and Saunders, they know they're a hilarious couple to put together and do a comedic routine, and they actually gave them really with April Spink and Miriam Forcible as and also doing their other work counterparts as well. They did a fantastic the casting in this is fantastic.
Yeah.
I have to say.
Yeah, and you also have Dakota Fanning who plays as Coraline, and she does a really great job as well.
I like Keith David as the cat. I think he does a very good job. In this.
Yes, Keith David does a phenomenal job as the cat, and same year, Keith David also voices as Dr. Facilier in Princess and the Frog too.
Yeah, and actually I recognize the voice as well. Like Keith David has a very recognizable voice.
Yeah, you may know him as Goliath from Gargoyles. You may know him as Spawn from Spawn, King Andreas from Amphibia. Like, he's done a ton of voiceover work.
It's like, you imagine like he is the cat, like he goes to Coraline and says, "Your soul is mine." Oh my goodness.
Anyways, let's move on. So one of the things that Coraline had discovered while walking around and looking at the house was that there is a door that's being tucked away right by the living room, and she gets a key that has a button in the back, in the end of it. And so when she tries to open it, it's literally just blocked up by bricks. And then during the nighttime is when it opens up into the other world, and she explores it, and everything is just so colorful and beautiful. And she meets up with her other mother and other father that just gives her all the attention that she's always wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, her other mother from another brother. If that makes any sense.
No.
But anyway, in regards to the way that they do the other world, like they try to make it. There's no, there must be nothing in this world that isn't touched by the imagination. Like a good cooked meal, and by the way, like the meal actually looks really, really good. You think Studio Ghibli probably had like a say in like how good the food looks. Like how good they make food.
There's a reason why a lot of chef YouTubers recreate this meal all the time. They recreate the chicken, the mango milkshake, the cupcakes, everything. Like, yeah, it's a feast for the eyes that just definitely just whets your appetite when you watch the scene, and the gravy boat that comes in with the choo-choo train. That's actually a really nice touch.
Yeah, and then the YouTube chefs basically hand you a box and say they want your eyes and replace them with buttons.
God.
Yeah, we're gonna get sued for that, aren't we? No,
Yeah.
I'm joking. But in regards to how imaginative they make it all look, I mean, that's just to start off with, like, with the meals that they have, like, and then you go to like how warm and welcoming the kitchen is, and then you get to see how imaginative like all the garden is. Like, it's everything. Like Coraline's mind. I mean, this is the thing that's a bit interesting about the other world. Is this Coraline's like imagination being projected onto like this onto this world, or is it a case of that this is some sort of like a being that is manipulating Coraline and knows exactly like what she wants to see?
Yeah, it's definitely the latter, because
okay.
Yeah, it is definitely the latter. We'll talk about that later on, but yeah, I mean, everything about this other world is just absolutely perfect in Coraline's eyes. She gets all the attention she wants, all the good meals. The garden is decorated to look like Coraline. You have that wonderful scene in which the other father is playing the song and the piano, which, by the way, that was the only song that was included from They Might Be Giants, which they were originally supposed to come in and do a whole soundtrack of Coraline. But if you listen to They Might Be Giants, you know that spooky music is not really in their forte. I mean, sure, Birdhouse in Your Soul is a little bit creepy, but not that much. I mean, they're known for Particle Man. They're known for Istanbul, not Constantinople. They're known for I Am a Paleontologist and the Sun is a Star and various other great, happy and educational songs. And so only this was included in the soundtrack. All the other ones were cut from the movie and were released in a separate soundtrack.
Yeah, well, you think True Color, the Cult of Personality would not have been involved in like a stop motion, a scary movie, but we're going to be talking about that a little later on.
We will. Yeah. But I mean, the world is great. And the inclusion of the cat, which we do see throughout the course of the movie, in the other world, he does talk and he warns Coraline, be careful what you wish for, which is a great message, by the way, because it plays out throughout the entire movie where be careful what you wish for. What you think is a good thing can turn out to be bad. It's a classic monkey paw story. And Coraline doesn't think that it's a big deal because she has everything that she's always wanted that she can never get in the real world. And yeah, she goes in between from the real world to the other world at night. And when she wakes up in the morning, she's back in the real world. And, everything looks back to normal. But then, slowly things start to become a little bit suspicious. And we get to know a little bit more about the story about how in the other side of the world is the other mother who is known for tricking kids who feel neglected and underappreciated, and she tricks them with treats and games. And when she says, "Come stay with me," and she gives them the gift of sewing, pulling out their eyes and replacing them with button eyes, and then eventually she starts getting bored with them and then just tosses them away until they die, and then their spirits are forever trapped in the other world and they completely disappear and they're forgotten, and that's actually really scary.
It is creepy, and again, it went towards my argument if I was talking about it in Old Spook Lane. So there we go.
Yeah,
and I'm actually interested, what do you think of our villain in this, the other mother? And
I really love this character. She is so creepy, and she starts off really nice and welcoming, and then she really just becomes so eerie and manipulative when she starts getting to know more of Coraline. She knows her weaknesses. She knows what she likes. And, she kidnaps Coraline's parents to hold them hostage so that she can be able to stay with her forever. It's like, this is a great character.
This is anime levels of kind of, villainy, I think, the way that we've gone through this. And, it's got to be honest with everybody, it's been a while since we actually, we sat down and watched it, but what was the motivation for the villain again? What
the motivation for the character is that that's what she wants to do. She loves playing games, and she basically just wants Coraline for herself and wants her to stay forever. What's
the underlying thing about it though? The one thing I always like about villains is that they always have something underlying about why they do what they do, and this is just kind of I just like to just play around, and I just like to be a menace. And which is kind of it would be nice, to have if there was a quirk that kind of started them off on this journey.
I think the quirk comes from Coraline herself, thinking that the message of thinking that this other world is absolutely perfect, and that she would be willing to go there more than the real world.
Well, not necessarily Coraline. I'm talking more about the other mother. What got her started in doing this in the first place? Is the fact that she could get away with it? Is the fact that she had a child at one point and then lost that child, and then all of a sudden it's if I can't have a child, then nobody else can, and I'll steal all the children and take them for myself. What was the? It's always interesting to see what is the motivation for a villain to do what they do, because that's the driving force about how they go forward as a villainous character, and it would have been interesting to see what other things that would motivate that character to do, and where eventually it will stop. And Coraline everything as being the stopgap.
I would say that the other mother, or the beldam, as the creature is actually called, that's what she does. She lures children in, gives them what they want, and then eventually takes advantage of them, takes away their eyes, and then has them trapped. It's she's like a creature. She does this out of instinct. I mean, we even see her.
Is that to keep her alive? Is that to
I think that's just part of her nature. I think that's what it is.
But it would be interesting to see, because the one thing I really hate is it's when villains just come around and says, "Oh, why do you do what you do?" It's I'm evil. And it's well, okay. It's
Yeah, I mean,
that's not very interesting.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, yes, the Beldam doesn't exactly have a motivation on why she kidnaps the children, other than that, she's completely bored and she likes playing games and she doesn't want to, be by herself and all that kind of stuff. And I understand that maybe a little bit more of a motivation for the Beldam would have been a good addition to it, but yeah, I mean, that doesn't.
She likes to play games, maybe where she tries to play a game with a devil, like with a demon, and lost, and this is her curse for forever and a day, and now she has to win games to get back her freedom or something like that.
I mean,
that would have been interesting to see.
I mean, to be fair, I haven't read the graphic novel. Maybe there's.
By the way, I've not read no one has read the books either. But when we do these reviews, we review the movies just as they are, and we don't have to go look at an instruction manual and kind of understand what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they explain it more in the book, but again, I don't really know too much about the Beldam's motivation.
I'm like Tim the Toolman in Home Improvement. Real men don't need instructions. I mean, it's just that's how I take these movies.
That would have been a complaint for us about what the motivation of this villain is, but I think I can overlook it because of just how great of a presence this character is. I can overlook the fact that maybe her motivation isn't as strong as say a much more complex villain in another movie or a TV show or a book or something like that, but just the way that she approaches Coraline, just the way that she has that menacing presence when we finally find out more about her, and throughout the beginning of the movie where she's so nice and welcoming, it really lets your guard down. So yeah, I can overlook those things just for the fact of how amazing that she is following throughout the course of the film. I can definitely say that she is a fantastic villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the fact that when, she starts coming into Coraline saying, I'm going to, take you away, and, it's either my way or the highway. And, she even goes so far as to kidnap her parents. And she even says, I'm just going to hide them away forever, and you have to be able to stay with me. And then Coraline says, well, how about if we play a game? If we play this game where I have to find the 3 lost souls of the previous children you stole away from, before the moon is covered with the button, then set her free. And she says, okay, well, if you don't find them, then Coraline says, I'm going to stay with you forever and ever. And so then you have this great game where she's basically looking for she's looking for the souls in inanimate objects, which she gets, by the way, from an item that she gets from the sisters, which is a great touch, by the way, because the neighbors are not just in there for the sake of just building up the world, the real world. I mean, they're also in the other worlds, and they also have their own counterparts, and they're also great as well. They also have their own little quirky personalities. You get to see Mr. Bodinsky in his mouse circus, and it's a great performance. You get to see the sisters in their prime performing and singing and dancing, and that's also a great scene, by the way. And so yeah, the fact that in the real world, the sisters were able to give her an item, which they don't even know what it is. It's this little square jade jewel thing. And so she just looks at it and first is I don't know what this is. But when she puts it near her eye, then she sees, oh, wow, this is actually something that I can use to find the souls of the trapped children. And yeah, I mean, just the tension of that is really nice. And the fact that the world that she was falling in love with starts turning gray and falling apart, and it's to the point in which it's nothing but just a white background. And then you have Coraline and the Beldam with her spider web and just being trapped in there and trying to get away. Everything about it is just really intense, and the climax is really, really great.
Yeah. So, the one thing I think I would say about Coraline is that, if you've not seen it already, you make me, and you put it off for, several years. I mean, we're at the 15th anniversary now. I would definitely say go and watch it if you can.
By the way, I mean, they are going to re-release Coraline in theaters.
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be on the October 31st thing we're looking at the moment. So, along with Corpse Bride, we're going to get Coraline as well. And
we're going to get another movie we're going to be talking about next time in theaters. And they're going to be doing a new short, too.
Yeah, so, there's lots to look forward to this Halloween, I have to say, and Coraline is definitely one of them. So.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, Final thoughts on Coraline.
Really well done. Love the voice actors, love the animation, love the music, just love the whole concept around it. And again, I know it's based off a book, but I mean, not only are they taking elements from the book, but they're also taking liberties with the story as well, with like extra characters and all the times you get to spend around them. Like this is really well done, and I hope everybody goes out and watches it because it is a fantastic piece of work that Laika has done.
Absolutely, yeah. I would say that this is an amazing film. This is a great film to watch around the Halloween season. It's really creepy and it's very atmospheric. The music is fantastic. The stop motion is great, by the way. I mean, you can definitely tell the handcraftness of the stop motion without being like too distracted from like all of the other stuff that some stop motion animated films can tumble and fall on. But no, this is just this is a great film.
By the way, don't take our word for it. I mean, like 3 Annies and a BAFTA. I mean, like that's going to tell you something about this movie.
Absolutely, yeah. It definitely deserved all of its accolades. That's for sure. And in 2009, where it was a fantastic year for animated films, we had a little bit of a rant on it several years ago when we talked about Ice Age: Dawn of the Dinosaurs, where even though that was the highest-grossing animated movie of 2009, we can clearly see that it was not the best animated film that came out in 2009.
Yeah, and unfortunately with 2009, I think that's a theme that you seem to run into quite a bit with animated movies, because it's funny because the going into going from the late 2000s into the 2010s, this was a good time for animated films to come out and animated projects.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of them, while they did get overlooked, I mean they're still admired today.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, Fantastic Mr. Fox was a box office bomb when it first came out.
Exactly, yeah. But now you ask anybody who's an animation fan, it's like Fantastic Mr. Fox is a fantastic movie. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately for Laika, this would be their peak, because at this point in time, after they released movie after movie after movie, all of them were critically acclaimed but did not make anywhere near as much money as Coraline. And it's a damn shame, considering of how amazing that Laika is. And yeah, I mean, I would say that if you have not seen this movie, please go check it out. It's fantastic. It still holds up after all these years.
Oh, definitely. And watch with friends if you can as well, because it would be a treat for them too.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, so yeah, we're not going to be leaving Laika just yet, because we're going to be talking about their next film. For old Spook Lane Creepy Chats, talking about spooky stop-motion animated films, we're going to be talking about Paranorman.
That's going to be awesome.
All right.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.